Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. You know that half-waking, half-sleeping state? Perhaps you're just drifting off to sleep, or you're taking a nap and you're not quite sure whether you're awake or you're asleep, but some idea occurs to you, or an image appears to you, or you feel some kind of intuitive hit or inspiration. Have you had that experience? I'm sure most of you have. Perhaps all of you have. Well, recently, when I was taking a nap, I was in that half-waking, half-dreaming state where I was coming in and out of the nap, and two tarot spreads occurred to me. So, when I woke up, I took note of it, and later on that day, I tried them out, and I liked them. Now, I can't take credit for these spreads because who knows? I could have seen them in a book somewhere and they just recurred to me. Or they could be divine intervention, and again, I wouldn't take credit for that either. But there are two spreads that I'm going to present to you today. One of them I'm calling my elemental cross spread. Now, the four elements, and perhaps the fifth, well, let's call it the four elements. And the other is the Tetractys Spread. The Tetractys is something that was thought of by Pythagras, the Greek philosopher and mathematician. That's the perfect triangle of 10 points, 4 at the base, 3 above, 2 above that, and 1 above that, forming a perfect triangle. And for Pythagoras, that was an expression of the perfect number. So I've got a spread for the Tetractys, and for what I'm calling the elemental cross. So if you're interested in seeing these spreads and how they work, stay tuned. I'll turn the camera down and we'll take a look together. Welcome back. So let me give you my plan. What I'm planning to do is this. First, I will show you the basic outline of the spread. Then I will show you my first attempt at laying that spread, a personal reading for myself, but I won't go into detail about that one. Then I will show you my second experiment with the spread, and I will read through that briefly with you. And then I will lay a spread for you right here on camera. And then we'll move on to the second one. And again, I will show you the basic outline of that spread, and then my personal attempt at that, and then a second experiment with that spread, and then I'll read live with that spread. Does that make sense to you? So we're going to start with the Tetractys spread because it's the one I think that takes up the most space. So first, let me show you the basic spread. Here it is. So that is what I'm calling my Tetractys spread. And it's based on Pythagoras' feelings about 10 being the perfect number and a shape made from 10 dots, a triangle shape. So you saw that the first row, the bottom row, I'm calling the foundation. Now, what the seeker is standing on, what is the seeker's base? The next row, mind, what the seeker's attention is focused on. Yeah, hopes, fears, concerns, generally what is happening in the seeker's mind. The third row is benefits. The third row has two cards. One card is benefits, one card is obstacles. So the first one, what helps the seeker. Second one, what is standing in the way of or opposing the speaker. And then finally, the top card is the advice card, what the seeker can or might want to do. So let me show you my first layout of the spread, which was a personal reading, and which I used, I believe well, let's see. You saw that I used the true black tarot for my personal read with this spread. It looks gorgeous, I think. It looks very good in the spread, and of course, any way you use those cards, it's going to be beautiful, right? So that was my spread. What did you think? Did you think anything? Did you get any impressions right off the bat? Let me show you my second attempt with this Tetractys spread, and let me tell you the situation. This spread I used thinking of Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, Sleeping Beauty is awoken by her prince and with a kiss, and she's wondering what she should do. Yeah, should she marry the guy? Should she say thank you and see you again sometime? Nice having you stop over. We'll invite you to brunch someday. So what is she going to do? Yeah, what is the tarot going to give her advice about? So let's take a look at that one now. You saw in the base row we had the 5 of Wands, the 4 of Pentacles, the 8 of Swords, and the 3 of Wands. So what is she standing on? She's standing on the base of there's been conflict in her kingdom. Yeah, her kingdom is in conflict, having gone through a very difficult time of having been asleep for like 20 years and waking up and probably all the crops are dead, and there's a lot of fighting and a lot of struggling. Also, there's some hoarding going on, perhaps some greed, because what are we gonna say? Yeah, her people and her family just woke up from a long sleep, and there are very few resources about, so there's a little bit of hoarding there. The 8 of Swords, she feels trapped by her situation. That's understandable. And the 3 of Wands, yeah, she just got woken up by this, hopefully, gorgeous man. And so she's woken up and she's got her eye, where is she going to go? Now that 3 of Wands, planning and to take that first step forward in the direction of her future. Yeah, which makes sense, right? We got some conflict, we got some greed, we got some feeling trapped, but still wanting to take that first step in the direction of her new life. The second row, what's actually on her mind? First is the Ace of Wands. She wants to get started. She's got her passion rekindled, having just woken up from sleep. So that's there. And right next to that was the Ace of Cups, yeah? New emotions, new feelings of emotion have been stirred in her by this kiss from this handsome prince. And right next to that Ace of Cups is the 6 of Cups, that feeling of emotional nostalgia, that feeling of childhood connection, perhaps because she has not fully matured as an adult. She's got a childhood crush with that Ace of Cups, perhaps. So what's above? Above we have what is helping her, what is in her corner, what is her benefit is the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands, perhaps that very prince, that passionate prince that beat his way through brambles and thorns and thickets to get to her and lay that kiss on her. Yeah? What's standing in her way? The 5 of Cups. She's going to have to leave behind her youth. She's going to have to leave behind a lot of stuff if she takes this new path with her Knight of Wands. And what is the advice? The advice is the 10 of Swords, yeah? She has been mentally knocked down, and it's time for her to take those swords out and get up and get going, yeah? To take the next step forward, to realize that she has reached the end of her cycle and is now ready to begin the next step. So that seemed very clear, very good for our Sleeping Beauty story to me. What did you think? Tell me in the comments below. Now we're going to do another story. We're going to do I hadn't thought about this, but I had decided on another princess story. The princess story that I thought of for this time around is, just a moment, I've forgotten. I thought let's go ahead and do Snow White. Yeah, Snow White, she got left alone in the forest and she sees this cottage. We're going to do the Disney version of Snow White. She sees this cottage in the forest and she's wondering what she should do. Should she try and take refuge there, or should she keep going on? She feels lost and alone. And she wants to know what she should be doing. Where should she go? Should she stay here or keep moving? Or is there another option? Okay, so Snow White. And I'm going to shuffle here so you know that I haven't stacked the deck. And let's see what comes up. So I'm going to do my personal, upright cards shuffle. So if you want to skip ahead, go ahead. Yeah, so what is the situation? I'm Snow White. I was almost killed by one of my stepmother's hench people. But he, instead of cutting out my heart, he cut out the heart of poor little deer. I think it was a deer. And sent me on my way. And now I see this cottage, large hut. What should I do? What would benefit me? What's the best action for me to take? Well, here I am. I'm Snow White. I'm in the woods. I see this hut, this cottage. What is the best action for me to take? Snow White. Woods are dark, a little bit scary. I've been in the woods before, but I've always had a home to return to. Now I'm stuck here. So woods are not completely unfamiliar, but there's a different sinisterness to these woods now that I feel perhaps trapped here, stuck here. It's not the same like when I went hunting with my father. Here I am in the woods and I see this cottage. What is the best action for me to take? Do a Tetractys Spread. What is the best action for me, Snow White, to take? Okay, here we go. So this is my foundation. This is what I am standing on. Interesting. This is what my attention is on. What Snow White's attention is on. Whoa. Whoa. So this is the benefit. What is my benefit now? Okay, I can see how that could make sense for her right now. What is my obstacle? Interesting. And what is the advice? Okay, so Let's see if we can, let me see how this looks in camera. Okay, so this can move up just a little bit, just a tad. You see that I'm using my morgan-greer in a tin. The tin is off to the side. Oh, there's the tin. And my morgan-greer in a tin. I'm using this because it is the smallest Rider-Waite Smith deck that I have. And so it would, since this is a very tall spread, I needed something very small to fit into the camera. And I'll be using this deck for the other spread as well, for the elemental spread as well. So what do we get here? Now this is a little bit surprising, especially the foundation. So the Knight of Pentacles. The working, diligent, slow-moving knight and strength, and the Six of Wands and swords. Interesting. So we've got wands, we've got swords, we've got pentacles in her base, rather balanced. We don't have any cups down here. But yeah, she's okay. So what do we see? We see that she's been trying to do her best. Now she's been trying to keep regular since her father died. And under her stepmother's, don't want to say care or tutelage, but living with her stepmother. She's been trying to do her best. She's been trying to just keep a steady pace, but clearly that has not worked. Yeah, she's tried to keep herself emotionally whole. Yeah, to not let her fears or her anger at the situation get control of her. She's tried to keep her mind as unified, as in balance, as in she's tried to keep a good relationship with her demons, and she has been successful. Now she has been successful with all of that. Successful to the point where she has been knocked out, you might say, knocked down, because of her success at moving through all of the difficulties that she's had. Her stepmother is the one who got jealous of her and sent her away. If she hadn't been so successful, she wouldn't be in this position as she was. And now she's in a place where she is feeling both the need for, and maybe she's getting a new idea. Maybe she's got a new idea and is finding perhaps a new way of communicating, a new way of thinking. This is what she's standing on. Now this experience has taught her something. She doesn't know what she's going to do with what she's learning, but she's been taught something. She's learned a lesson from this experience. But right now, out in the woods, she is feeling, I think, a lot of fear. Yeah, she's feeling this has been a change, a drastic, frightening change. Yeah, her entire life has been cut out from underneath her, and here we have the Snow White Rose, right? Yeah, Snow White, the white rose, the lily white rose. I think one title for the Snow White story is Rose White, or White Rose, or something like that. So she's had her life. This is what she's thinking right now. She's faced death. She's actually faced death, but more to the point, her life has been cut out from beneath her. And on one side, there is, let's call this her stepmother. And on the other side, there is potential for sharing and communing with others. Now, this is where she wants to go. She wants to find her place, find her people. And she wants to leave this. So hopefully this is what has been cut out rather than this. That's what's on her mind now. Now, how greatly her life has changed, how she has faced this demon stepmother, and how she wants to get her people. And what is a benefit to her right now is perhaps being a little clever and a little crafty and going into that hut. Yeah? Going into that hut and taking what she needs for herself right now, which would be shelter, someplace to sleep, would be the benefit for her. What is against her is if she does that, she's going to have to actually do much more real work there. Now, she's going to have to actually do things like clean the house and tend for these dwarves. She hasn't met the dwarves yet, and this could be an image of the dwarves. But what's against her is she's going to have to live a very day-to-day, humble life of doing tasks. And the advice for her is to find her structure, find her place, yeah? To go out and do the work of creating her life. Now, for many, the Emperor card is the card of domination, the father, and that could be the father that has passed, but that's a long time ago for her, well, a while ago for her. Now, she's lived with this stepmother for quite a while. So, for me, the Emperor and the Empress are a pair. Both of them are creative in different ways. The Empress is the receptive creator. The Emperor is the active creator. The Empress is the receptive one, the one who holds space and nurtures creation. The Emperor is the one who goes out and does the action of creation. And a lot of that is creating structures, creating a home, creating security, creating stability. And that is the advice for her, to own her inner emperor and do the work of creating her stability. So what do you think? Does that work for you? Does that make sense for you, for Snow White in the woods, looking at that hut and thinking, what am I going to do? I think this was an interesting card to come up as an obstacle, because the dwarves at first were an obstacle. They weren't all immediately in her favor, right? Now, there were many of them who were against accepting her. Many of them wanted to say, kick her out, get her out of here. Or if she stays, she has to cook, she has to clean, she has to take care of us, do the tasks. Okay, so this is the Tetractys Spread. Yeah, a base, a foundation, what the seeker is thinking or holding in their mind, benefits, obstacles, and advice. So let's move on to the elemental cross. So that was the elemental cross. And you can see from the spread that I showed you that there is a center card. You could call it spirit if you want, but to me that is the central issue of the question, or if you're just doing a general spread. I think both of these spreads work for general spreads without questions. Yeah? Because when I did my own personal spread, the first time out with both of these spreads that came to me in my dreams, I didn't have a specific question. I just laid out cards for myself. So they work, both of these I think work well for general readings without a question. However, I also see that they work well with a question, and perhaps even better with a question. So the first card, rather than a significator, let's call it the central issue of either the question or the general spread, the general inquiry. And on the top, we had 2 cards for fire. On the side, we had 2 cards for water. On the other side, we had 2 cards for air. And at the bottom, we had 2 cards for earth. And the reason I wanted 2 cards for each of those rather than just 1 card is I wanted to give an opportunity, as much opportunity, for there to be balance or imbalance in the spread. Now, because we're going to look at how many cups, wands, swords, and pentacles are going to be showing up. And if it's a relative balance of all of those, then we know that it's a rather balanced spread. However, if we've got a whole bunch of 1 and none of 1 or 2, we know that there's some elemental imbalance there. So having 2 cards for each element, I think, is going to tell us something. Whereas if there were only 1 card for each element, we could chalk the absence of 1 element as just, well, aren't enough cards being drawn. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's why this seemed to be good. 3 cards for each might have been even better, but it also seemed like it could have been a little bit too crowded, a little bit too complicated. And I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. And in my dream, I saw 2 for each. So I went with that. Okay, so let me show you the spread that I did, general spread that I did for myself with the, what is the name of the deck? I'll show you. So yes, my spread was done with the Spacious Tarot. Beautiful deck. Did you get any hits from it? Did you get any clues as to what kind of person I am and where I am right now? What did you think? If you had any hits, write it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. So now we're going to move on to my second practice with this elemental cross. And the question I had for this spread was using the Rider-Waite-Smith. I used the Rider-Waite-Smith for both of my second practices. I'm sorry for the quality of the photos. I did these late at night at my home and the lighting is not great. So please be understanding. The question was, I decided to use Romeo and Juliet for this one. Yeah, and this is Romeo. And Romeo has just met Juliet at a big party and is smitten with her. So this is the question. What does he go after her or not? I mean, he knows that his family and her family are not exactly very friendly. They're not in the best of terms. And he knows that she is of that rival family. But he has fallen with her. He has fallen hard. He has been smitten by her. So he's wondering, what should he do? So here is the spread that came from that. Frankly, this was a little bit difficult for me to read because a few of these cards confused me quite a bit. Yeah, you saw that in the center there was the 3 of Pentacles. So we're talking Romeo and Juliet. Why is the central issue a Pentacles card? So this is what I came up with, or what I thought of, was that there's some money issue around Juliet at this time. There's some negotiation, there's some bartering perhaps, there's the 3-ness of the Pentacles. There's some interaction around money, land, or something. And then later on, after I was staring at this spread and staring at it and thinking to myself, what the heck have I gotten myself into? Then I remembered Paris. Not Paris, France, but in the play, Paris. Juliet's father has negotiated with Paris to marry her to him. I'd completely forgotten about that. And I think that's what this 3 of Pentacles card was showing. Those negotiations with Paris and the father Capulet around Juliet and their marriage. And that is the issue right now. Yeah? It's not so much the feuding families, but that Juliet's already promised to somebody else and there's a contract that has been formed. And so, what do we have? We have up in fire the Chariot and Pentacles, the 8 of Pentacles. In water, in the water section, we have the Knight of Cups and the Tower. In the air section, we have Justice and the Ace of Cups. And then in earth, we have the 7 of Swords and the King of Pentacles. So what do we have generally? Generally speaking, we had, for pentacles, we had 1, 2, 3 pentacles cards, which is interesting in a love relationship. There's some money here. And remember, Romeo and Juliet's time, marriages were financial contracts between families, and maintaining family wealth and sharing family wealth and uniting family wealth. So marriage was not about love, it was a financial contract in most cases, if not many. So we have pentacles. We have cups here though. We have 2 cups here. We have 1 swords card. And then we have 3 majors. So this is a little bit of an important read, right? We've got the Tower, we've got Justice, and we've got the Chariot. We are missing wands, we're missing passion, which is interesting. So rather than passion and action for this spread, we've got cash, money, and we've got romance, love. Which I guess makes sense since Juliet is a young girl. She's not the passionate, vibrant woman that she might have eventually become. She's a romantic. She's in the love. She's in the softness. And Romeo apparently is also a bit of a romantic. And it's in that romance, that lack of passion and drive and figuring things out, which eventually leads perhaps to the tragedy. So what do we have? We have 2 cards at the top for their passion. Instead of wands, we have the Chariot, willpower. Okay, so what he wants to do to create the next step, to move forward, is to get his horses moving in the same direction. Now, he doesn't want to be splitting off, going one way or the other. Well, I've got the family going here and I got my heart going here. Yeah? I'm friends with these people, I'm enemies with these people. What he wants to do is he wants to get both of his horses going in the same direction. He wants to employ his willpower. And he wants to do the work, take the steps, moving in the direction of romancing or being with the one he loves. He can't just run off and fall in love. That's not the place he's in. He needs to engage his willpower and he needs to take the steps. Very cautious, careful steps, because this is a very dangerous situation. Yeah, he can't be a fool here. He has to do the work. He has to make contact carefully. He needs to move forward with that contact carefully. And in the love section, we've got the Knight of Cups. Yeah, the romantic, the romancer. That's him all the way, I believe. But you notice that right below that is the Tower. So I think this spread is cautioning him that if he doesn't do the willpower, if he doesn't do the taking the careful steps, if he goes with his instincts of the Knight of Cups, he is going to cause himself a big problem. He is going to cause a Tower moment, which the play eventually unfolds in that Tower. Yeah, everything crumbles. It's a tragedy. In air, in his mind, what do we have? We have justice. He needs to have balance. He needs to be handling this with very clear mental acuity, precision, balance. Not going off in with his heart, with romance, not going off wild with passion, which is missing here. He needs to have clear thinking. And if he has that clear thinking, then he can allow this budding romance to blossom. He can't go all Knight of Cups, but he can allow the budding romance to blossom if he keeps his mind sharp, clear, and balanced. And then below, in earth, now the work, the health, the Seven of Swords, he's got to be crafty. He's got to be cunning. He is going to be stealing somebody from her home, yeah? Eventually. That's what the physical element of his story is. He's stealing Juliet away from her home. And the next, the King of Pentacles. He needs to be that King of Pentacles who is solid, who can work with many different people, who is mature, who is able to use his resources. He has to be sharp, cunning, and also stable and able to use his resources. And unfortunately, he does none of that. Cunning, good, or I'm sorry, the cunning, no. He starts off cunning, but then he goes wild with passion when his cousin gets killed. Rational mind, goodbye. He goes totally Knight of Cups. Instead of keeping his mind focused and sharp and letting this relationship bud and blossom naturally, he goes totally Knight of Cups and invokes the Tower. He doesn't keep his willpower in line and do the tasks. He goes crazy. When they're separated, instead of keeping focused, he loses it. He sends a message, he doesn't get a response, he comes back, sees Juliet faking death, kills himself. I mean, that's not living with willpower, right? So that is the read for Romeo and Juliet. What did you think? So let me see. I wanted to do another play for this reading here on camera. And let me remember just a moment what that play was. This one I decided to do another Shakespeare. I decided to do Benedict from Much Ado About Nothing. Do you know this story? It's a comedy. I wanted to do something light. So Benedict is, he's a fighter. He's a fighter, but he's also a poet and a perennial bachelor, a perpetual bachelor. And he and his company go to the house, a very wealthy house, to rest and on their way back home, as I recall. They've come from battle, they're going back home, they were very successful. And at this home, he and his best friend meet two women. Benedict's best friend meets the woman Hero. Claudio meets Hero, and they fall in love right off the bat. And everything looks good for them. Things twist and turn, but everything looks good for them right off at the moment of meeting. Benedict meets Hero's cousin, Beatrice, who is very clever, very sharp-tongued. Well, not as sharp-tongued as Catherine in The Taming of the Shrew, perhaps, but she is very witty. She is also a perpetual bachelorette. She has no real thought for getting married seriously. She thinks that maybe she might get married someday, but she also feels like there's no one that is worthy of marrying her, truly. And Benedict also thinks that there is no one really worthy of him marrying. And those two meet, both very smart, both very clever, both getting up a little bit in years. I mean, they're not old people, but they're probably in their 20s. Maybe he's in his 30s, she might be in her early mid-20s, old for that period. And they spark. They do a lot of verbal battle at the beginning. However, what is going on between those two? So Benedict meets Beatrice. She seems to be his match, and he's having feelings, odd feelings that he's never really had before. So we're going to do an elemental cross for this, for Benedict. He's met Beatrice, and he's having these funny feelings, and he wants to know what these funny feelings are about. So I'm going to do my shuffle. If you want to skip ahead, go ahead and skip ahead. Here we go. So I am Benedict this time. I am not Snow White. I am Benedict, and I've just met Beatrice. We've had our first verbal spar. She's clever. She's not bad on the eyes. And I'm feeling something different. I don't understand. Why am I feeling this way? Why is everything that she said so important to me? Why were her cuts so devastating to me. Why were the compliment or two that she half-heartedly gave me, why did those feel so important to me? What is this feeling that I have deep down inside right now? Is it anger? Is it irritation? Is it something else? What am I feeling? What's going on? I feel strange. Huh? I'm Benedict. Whoa. See, I'm feeling so strange, I can't even shuffle. I'm Benedict. I just met Beatrice. And I'm feeling something. I don't know what it is. Why has she had such an effect on me? I've met a lot of women, some of them very smart before. They haven't affected me like this. What is this? Why does her name keep coming up to my mind, coming up in my mind, arising in my mind? I'm feeling very confused. I don't feel the same way I felt with other women that I've tried to seduce. It's not that. I know I don't want to seduce her. I'm feeling something different. What is that? What is this feeling? Why am I so confused? I've never been confused like this. That's why I want a reading. Why am I so confused? What is this feeling I'm feeling? Whoa, my sweaty hands are sticking to my cards. What is this feeling I'm feeling? Okay, so I'm Benedict. I've just met Beatrice. Start with the central issue. What is the central issue? Oh, okay, that's pretty clear. So, fire. 2 cards for fire. Interesting. Stop messing with those. Okay, 2 cards for water. Oh. Oh, interesting. A lot of cups and a lot of rods so far. Air. What's on my mind? Oh. Interesting, the tower is coming up again. And what's below? I mean, what's the earth? Yep. Okay. Oh, okay. So my grounding is very important here. So what do we see? Let's, first off, since this is an elemental cross, let's first look at the elements. What do we see? Okay, you're pretty centered, right? Okay, so let me put this closer, fully in camera. See the beautiful stars in the backs? So what do we see? We have cups. 1, 2, 3 cups. And then an echo of cups and temperance, but what's 3 cups? Wands. We have 2 wands. And we have 1 pentacle. We have no swords, which is interesting because Benedict is absolutely a swords character. Now, Benedict is 100% mind. Well, he's also a warrior, which would be a little passion as well, but he is really a brain guy. Yeah, he's poetry, words, wordplay. He's a brain guy, and there's no brain going on here. There's no, and communicative skills. His communicative skills have also flown the coop right now, which is a little bit extreme, but a little bit also appropriate, because he doesn't get completely tongue-tied around Beatrice. However, he is definitely not able to overcome him with his normal wordplay. We've got a lot of passion here and a lot of romance, which is why he is feeling so uncomfortable and so new, because these are not the areas where he has lived in his life. So the central issue is beginning romance. What he is feeling is beginnings of love, that first spark of love arising from his emotions. We've got that light shining from his intuition, which perhaps he's not such an intuitive guy. He's a logic guy, right? His intuition is starting to talk to him through this feeling of romance and budding love. But this is very strange for him. So in his passions, he has got his passion right now is emotional stability, emotional connection. It's that he wants to start a family, which is something he has never really thought about before. He wants that union, which will bring his emotional life to fulfillment. He also wants, now remember, the Queen of Rods is water of fire. Yeah? She has got her passion, but she's also the nurturer of other people's creation. She's the nurturer of other people's passions as well. So perhaps this might be Beatrice, who is also leaving behind her typical sword stance and moving into her passion. So maybe this is the connection between Benedict, his connection here to her. Yeah, you see this connection here between the Queen of Rods and him. They are discovering their passion outside, above and beyond their brain, their mental activity. What do we have in the water suit? We have, again, this could be him. And his past disappointments. Yeah? He surely has had these feelings of love, and he's loved and lost and walked on and learned from those. And what he has learned from those is that he is not cut out for romance. So he needs to take those lessons and move into his King of Rods to be able to pair with her Queen of Rods. In the air side, we have balance. Yeah? He has been able to balance everything up until now. Balance his war and his mind, balance his entire life. And that's where his mind has been, towards balancing his resources, towards balancing the world, juggling his life. And right now, he's met her, and this has been a tower moment for him. Yeah? The structures that he felt that he had are now starting to crumble. The defenses he thought he had built up around his heart are starting to crumble. And so what is below him? As this crumbles, he wants to have temperance. He wants to find balance of emotions. He wants to alchemize, and to do the alchemy of creating the new him. Not just all mind, fire and water, air and earth. He wants to combine those and move forward with hope. Yeah, we see the echoes here between temperance and the star. Now the two vessels, pouring them together and then pouring them out. And following his North Star. His North Star, which now seems to be his new budding romance. Yeah? This is the direction he wants to be following. His heart. His North Star is pointing towards love right now. So he wants to do the alchemy, create the new self, and pour that self out into the world as he follows his hope, his burgeoning hope, his North Star, which seems to be for him right now, his new love. So, what do you think? What does that mean for you? Does that speak to you around Much Ado About Nothing? Does that seem to match the story that you know about Much Ado About Nothing? So I'd love to hear what you think about these two spreads in the comments below. Are you going to try them out? Is it something you're going to add to your repertoire? I think I will add these to my repertoire along with my rediscovery of the Celtic cross, which I did a video of very recently, and I'll put a card up here so that you can go find that if you're interested. And friends, tell me below what you think about these spreads. I'd love to hear from you. Like this video if you thought you got something out of it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed as of yet, and hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. Share this with anyone who you think might get interest from these two spreads. And comment below. I would really love to hear from you. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.